First, bringing attention to the posture. Allow the spine to be upright and energetic without becoming stiff and rigid. Allow the head to sit, to balance gently on top of the spine. Letting the foundation of the posture, the legs and hips, just grounding into the floor or into the chair. Think of your foundation as wide and stable. Locating the breath in the body. Noticing where do we feel it the most strongly and the most easefully. At the nose or in the chest, at the belly. And then just bringing attention to the mind. What's the quality of the mind, the tone of the thinking? And bring the mind to where the body is. It's in the present moment. It's upright and balanced, but not rigid or stiff. Cultivate an open receptivity and a connection with the breath. And as we move into silent meditation, and just keeping in mind that the attention has a tendency to shrink. Or move about, or become distracted. And anchoring the attention to the breath in the body builds a strong muscle, a strong container for that attention. Which is what we are trying to cultivate off the cushion. You're learning how to direct the mind toward what is stable, what is present, what is neutral or skillful or wholesome. Okay, well, I've been starting with a bit of wisdom from Ajahn Chah. So I'll go ahead and do that. Ajahn Chah is the head of our lineage here at Portland Friends of the Dhamma. One day, Ajahn Chah came upon a large, heavy branch that was lying in his path in which he wanted to move out of the way. He motioned to a disciple to get hold of one end while he lifted the other. Then when they held it ready to throw, he looked up and asked, "Is it heavy?" And after they had flung it into the forest, he asked again, "Now is it heavy?" It was like this that Ajahn Chah taught his disciples to see the Dhamma in everything they said or did. In this case, he demonstrated the benefit of letting go. How are we doing?
I think we have
Oh, I mean, I feel loud, but are people having trouble hearing? No?
It's just one speaker, and this one comes and goes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not too bad. Oh. I'll just carry on. One of Ajahn Chah's disciples was unplugging a tape recorder or a speaker when he accidentally touched the metal prongs of the plug while it was still connected. He got a shock and dropped it immediately. Ajahn Chah noticed and said, "Oh, how come you could let go of that so easily? Who told you to?" Just a couple more. They're just short anecdotes. It was Christmas, and the foreign monks had decided to celebrate it. Now we're in Thailand, so the foreign monks are Americans and Europeans mostly. They invited some lay people as well as Ajahn Chah to join them. The lay people were generally upset and skeptical. Why, they asked, were Buddhists celebrating Christmas? Ajahn Chah then gave a talk on religion, in which he said, "As far as I understand, Christianity teaches people to do good and avoid evil just as Buddhism does. So what is the problem? However, if people are upset by the idea of celebrating Christmas, that can be easily remedied. We won't call it Christmas. Let's call it Christ Buddha-mas." It's just words. Anything that inspires us to see what is true and do what is good is proper practice. You may call it any name you like. I think I'll leave it there. He was good. I mean, very wise. Lungpo Pasano, who's our spiritual advisor, who lives at a monastery down in California, was a direct disciple of Ajahn Chah. He lived with him in Thailand in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Wait a minute. Yeah, 80s and 90s for quite a while. And he'll say that often. He'll reflect that Ajahn Chah took every opportunity to teach and every opportunity to point out the Dhamma to his disciples. And it helped that his disciples generally considered him to be enlightened. You know, I wouldn't get away with, commenting on somebody getting shocked with a bit of mirth and laughter, and that's fair. But Ajahn Chah, he was wise, and he looked at everything through the lens of Dhamma. Everything that happened, everything he touched, everything his students touched, he pointed out as Dhamma. And it's a good lesson for us, for people who are trying to develop in Buddhism, in the holy life, in their practice, in just the letting go. Even if you're not Buddhist at all, Ajahn Chah, obviously did not care. These are labels. The Buddha said, do what is good. Let go of what is evil or wrong and skillful. Purify the mind. That does not have a label. We can label it anything we want. It's just a universal principle. It's a universal instruction. I haven't, Sakula and I sort of, she retired in June, and we had a big to-do, a ceremony and a gathering, and some time together as a community, and she retired from this role, and I picked it up. And now, sort of according to our lineage, our tradition, the way we do things, she's gone for a year. She won't be back for a year. And that's, it's a gift, to me, for a number of reasons. One is so that everybody knows, where to send the problems. It's very clear. And, so that I can figure things out on my own, sort of go to the community instead of to my sort of supervisor and head cheerleader and coach. But it's not easy either. for 3 years, we sat up here more or less together every week. And that was pretty nice, really lovely. It was good for the community. It was good for me. It was good for Sakula. And now she's gone for a year at least. And in fact, of course, she left the country, So I haven't seen her at all. And in fact, I haven't even talked to her since June. We haven't had any contact at all. But as her birthday was coming around, I can't help it. We're sending her a text, you guys. Our birthday video. So that was really, really sweet and lovely. Thank you for participating in that. She said something during kind of the ceremony that we had in June that I'd never heard her say before. She said a lot of things about me in that that last month that I never heard her say before. But this was one, and I hope I can explain it because I found it really interesting. But she said that one of the reasons that, she ended up sort of gravitating toward me picking up this role was that I never, that maybe that isn't even superlative, told her that she was causing my problems. So I brought her plenty of problems. Problems galore. But I guess, what I didn't do was tell her that she was causing them. And that was really interesting. Because, of course, she and I have been practicing together for 21 years, and in my opinion, she caused plenty of problems for me. And I caused problems for her, and humans cause problems for each other, It's very natural, right? I'm mad. What's the problem? It's you, not you, but someone else, right? We start pointing, we start blaming. It's very normal. And we bring our problems to the people that we think are causing them. And we say things like, if you did this differently, then I would be happier. Very normal, very typical, very of the world. And it was interesting to hear Sakula say that, because there were plenty of times when I felt like if she did something differently, I would be happier. It's normal. And when she hears this, she'll get it. I'm not blaming her for anything. But I didn't actually demand that of her, I guess. And she noticed that. And it made her feel safe. And, like she could move through the world making mistakes like we all do, and still feel safe. So that was really interesting. It was really lovely to hear. And what's interesting for me is, of course, 20 years ago, or whenever I started this practice, that was completely out of a fear of conflict. Like, there was nothing skillful about it. I'm having a problem with somebody, but I'm not going to bring it to them because I know that that's... No. I didn't want to fight. I was scared of conflict. It was really conflict avoidant. That's how I was raised. You just shut up, suppress it, move on. But what's so interesting about this practice, and I've noticed it over the years, and I know that some of you will be able to relate to this, is that, something we do, kind of a response that we have, a reaction that we have in the world in the beginning when we're first starting to practice, on the outside, it might look identical to a response or a reaction or an interaction we have later after years of practice. But what's happening inside is totally different. So in the early years, I didn't get in conflict because I was terrified of getting in conflict. It really made me uncomfortable. I didn't want it. But with all these many years of practice, becoming confident and letting go of things that are heavy, letting go of things that are not skillful, letting go of things that are not useful, that don't need to be blown up. My response to conflict kind of looks the same. I'm not engaging in it, usually. Trying not to engage, letting things go, recognizing, looking at my own measuring sticks, looking at the precepts. Have I killed anything? Have I stolen anything? Have I cheated on my partner? Have I lied? Have I been intoxicated? No, 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 no. All right. Then I can rest, in my integrity. And if somebody else is mad, then I can hold that too. There's a lot more space than there ever was. And beyond sort of the foundation, the basics, the lowest bar of how I treat other people, have I been mindful? Have I spoken in a way that is not just truthful, but also patient and kind, useful, skillful, beneficial at the right time? Have I responded in that way? And, there's usually some spectrum there. But if I've more or less kind of responded like that, then I can, again, there's this opportunity to rest in my integrity. There's conflict or someone's upset or something's going sideways. But what's my part? What's my part? Have I navigated this with integrity? How can I help? I might not be able to help. Might think I'm helping. Somebody else might think I'm not helping. There's too many variables, to know exactly what's going on with this person or this situation. But what we can know, what we can get to know over time, is what we're bringing. And furthermore, we can become really confident over time that what we're bringing is really good. It's really useful. It's really beneficial. It's really skillful. It's building habits of goodness. I remember years ago, I can't remember exactly what I was saying, but I was talking to Ajahn Siddhanta, and I just said something kind of off the cuff, like, it's just so lovely to talk to the monks because they're really grounded. And always seems to be something wise, coming up. It's inspiring to be around the monastics. And of course, Ajahn Siddhanta said, well, you don't get to talk to any of the ones that have only been doing it less than 5 years. He can be like that. But I've never forgotten that, that, they're still learning. The younger monks are still practicing. They're still learning how to manage their emotions, their integrity, their language, their speech. Of course, we all are until we're enlightened. Thus have I heard. But he kind of The monks have a way of very quickly popping the bubble of lay person fantasy. Oh, you guys are so cool. So quiet, so wise, so keen, Yeah, well, you only see part of the story. But I've been thinking more and more about that, as kind of the lay community, lay Buddhism in the West is exploding. It's taking off. It has been from the 70s, even the 80s. There's a lot of practitioners. People are interested in meditation over here and Buddhism, the teachings of the Buddha. And then I'm thinking, because our teachers are monks and nuns, our lineage comes out of a monastic lineage, I'm thinking about how the younger monks do it. Well, what if none of us talked until 5 years into our practice, into our training? Oh, wouldn't that be lovely for everyone around us? I know. I mean, I'm sure you guys are fine, but but oh boy, we can really make problems for ourselves before our minds are settled, before we're really steeped in goodness. Another thing Sakula kept saying before she left was, "Oh, you used to be so grumpy." She kept announcing that to the group. She was really grumpy when she first came here. And oh man, was I? I have no beef with that. with that perception. I would characterize it as, globally, I was having a hard time, which is very normal. Being a person in the world is basically having a hard time, depending on your kind of conditioning, your training, your upbringing, your current conditions. Some people are kind of have a lightness, a happiness, a sweetness, kind of coming from within, and others have more challenges or different kind of personality, different proclivity, different inclinations. But the Buddha said he wouldn't have taught this way, this practice, if we were not capable of understanding it, of living it, of doing it. So I relied heavily on that during the grumpy years. Well, I can do this, it's just a matter of learning. So learn something new, do it a bunch. Learn something new, do it a bunch. Whether it's gratitude or generosity or speaking truthfully or speaking less. Being in community, spending more time with people, spending less time with people. Learn something new and do it a bunch. Trying to navigate situations with my integrity intact. Learning for me that is the optimal outcome. Not any one thing, not any one bit of content. The optimal outcome is to navigate situations with my integrity intact. And so then there's always this kind of looking, watching, noticing, on occasion apologizing, on a lot of occasions, apologizing, asking for forgiveness, trying again, connecting with really wise people, spending time in community. All of it kind of builds a life of integrity and metta, compassion, equanimity, ultimately. So anyway, I just like to end by saying I'm grateful for this training. I'm grateful for this community. It's coming up a lot. And I appreciate you all being here and holding the space today.